Okay, we are gathered here today to mourn the passing of temperature regulation in our bodies, faces that don't look like they need Botox and that younger people are not afraid of becoming one day. Um, what else? Sleeping through the night all the way for the most part. We're also, there's just so many things. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm talking about perimenopause. Perimenopause is a beast and I don't like her. I don't. She's mean. But anyway, welcome to Facetly. Hi. Thank you for coming to spend time with me today on my channel. My name is Amber, and essentially what I'm trying to do with what I am doing with this channel is I am reaching out to women in midlife and talking about midlife things, learning how to up our game and also to just be our best selves at no matter what stage of life we're in. So, as you've probably figured out already, I am talking about perimenopause today. Perimenopause is something that I believe I personally started experiencing in my 30s, I want to say. Um, some of the first things that I was noticing were changes in my menstrual cycle, changes in terms of how frequently they were coming. In addition to that, how heavy they were happening. It was ridiculous. I couldn't deal with it. So like right around 36 years of age is when it started happening for me. I also had night sweats, very frequent night sweats, sweats to the, utmost extreme. There were some nights where I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I would be so drenched that I would need to change my pajamas, change my sheets, all kinds of stuff. It was ridiculous. And so thankfully, I don't really have that problem anymore. It's been replaced by hot flashes, which are fun. Not fun at all. But the reason I want to talk about this is because there are so many things that are going on in our lives right now that really start to feel like, am I sick or what's happening? Because things that I used to be able to handle, things that I used to be able to just kind of power through when I was a younger woman are debilitating at this point. Can I get an amen anywhere? Anywhere. I know you know. Now, I also have to preface this by saying I'm not a physician. I'm not a mental health or uh, physical practitioner. I have no experience in that. So everything I'm saying is just from my own personal experience, experiences of others. So just take it with a grain of salt. And if you really do have any questions, please, please, please contact your personal physician, your personal mental health care provider. Get the assistance that you need because it is so, so very important. Now, back to the regularly scheduled programming. Um, oh my gosh, my eyelid is twitching. It's really annoying me. So, I am, I don't know. I don't know where I should begin. I'm 49 years old at this point. And so at 49, I am experiencing a lot more of the perimenopause experience than I had when I was in my 30s, my mid 30s. So it was actually a slow buildup, but it seems like with every birthday, I'm encountering a brand new phase of what the heck. So, like I was saying before, I did have the night sweats, which was annoying, but kind of manageable. I was also having the heavier periods, which was extremely excessively bothersome. If anybody knows about heavy, heavy, heavy periods, like changing your pads, having to double up on things, changing every so many hours or hour, you understand. You understand. But as I've gotten older, there have been more things that I'm starting to experience, which have become very frustrating for me. Now, on this part, I'm actually going to keep it more on the mental health aspect of things because that can be an area where women really kind of start to falter around this stage of life. The reason I say this is because mental health already has a stigma to it. For those of us who are in therapy or have been in therapy, have ever seen a psychiatrist or a psychologist, ever been on medication for different things, it seems like just as natural as going to your primary care doctor for a physical. It's very, very, very stigmatized. And I don't know why. Now, as a Black woman, it's especially stigmatized, I think, in the Black community. I can't speak for other communities, but I can speak for our community where it's always been a matter of, oh, mental health isn't for us. That's a other people kind of thing. Or it would have to be so severe and so serious to where it's almost like either you get this help or you get locked up. Okay. Or you lose your family or your job or something like that. And honestly, in my opinion, mental health is just as important as your physical health. So just the way that you want to go see a doctor to have checkups and physicals and things like that, mental health evaluations should honestly be a huge part of the overall physical care experience, okay, healthcare experience. Now, um, one thing I was starting to notice is that my tolerance, my patience had switched up. What I could attribute that to, I don't know. I just thought it was, additional stress. As I got older, I actually changed jobs at 40, which is something that I would not recommend. Unless you absolutely have to, I would not recommend. But I did change jobs at 40. And right around that time, I have children, two children, twin boys, and they were in high school. And so everything felt like pressure, but it was the same kind of pressure that I'd already had. High schoolers, yes, they can be a lot more challenging because they're growing into adulthood and they're learning different things. They want to have a little bit more freedom with their life. And you also are starting to change and go through things. And so I was thinking that it was just kind of like a normal thing. But honestly, their younger years were, thinking back on it, a lot more stressful for me as a single parent than their high school years were. So it felt odd that yes, changing to a new job was going to be a huge new experience, but also trying to deal with twin teenagers and just learn and navigate all these different things. It just became too much, and I was gaining weight, seriously gaining weight. It was, ugh, I couldn't believe it. I gained weight and the migraines. I've always been a migraine sufferer, but this frequency of my migraines and the duration of them was out of this world. So much worse in my 40s than it had been at any other time of my life. So, with all of these different things going on, I felt extremely anxious. There were so many times when I felt like my mind would not slow down. My blood pressure was probably always up, even though I'm on blood pressure medication and have been for a long time. I believe that my blood pressure probably was not controlled properly by the medication because of the stress, because of the anxiety that I was going through. And so, with that, I honestly feel like I might have started falling apart. And the mental health part of this is that I was burning out. And it wasn't, it was a slow burn because as I'd always done, I felt like I was going to be able to get through this, to move forward and to be okay. Push through it, you'll be fine. Sleep it off if you can, exercise it off if you can, laugh it off. It's gonna be okay. I was not okay. I was not okay, and I am still to this day not fully okay, almost 10 years later. And so Mental health and menopause is a very, very, very complicated thing. Now, one thing I have learned is that for women, estrogen is a huge, huge factor in how we are able to navigate life. It impacts basically, it seems like every system of our body. And because of that, as we get older and estrogen drops, which it starts to decrease starting in your 20s, okay? Not that you're going to experience all these different kinds of things in your 20s, but it does start to gradually decrease when you're in your, I believe it's your mid 20s. And so by the time you get to what you're looking at as perimenopause, it's going to be not necessarily on its last legs, but a whole lot lower than it was when you were in your 20s and possibly even in your 30s. It's going to be so much lower than it was. And estrogen affects, like I said, so many different systems in our body. One thing that it does really, really, really play a huge role in is in our nervous system and also neurologically. These changes are something that happen over time, but the drops are so drastic once you start getting into your late 30s and early 40s that although it seems like these changes are kind of incremental and kind of small, the impact is heavy. The impact is huge, so big, and we don't know what to do with that. And so it is really important that we do talk about the effects of perimenopause on our bodies and learn how to manage them, learn how to recognize them, and also learn how to talk to our doctors or mental health care providers about them. So it wasn't until I was actually just recently able to have a diagnosis for ADHD, which is something that I never knew that I had because I was always really good in school. I'm not one of those hyperactive type people that can't sit still. My mind races all the time, and that's been a constant since I was a child. But everything else has just been like, I had been diagnosed with generalized anxiety. I had, wow, just so many different things. And these are things that have been very much impacted by the passage of time. And I would also say the decrease in estrogen that my body is going through. Now, I have to say this one thing that I have learned about perimenopause is that women aren't going to have the same symptoms. You could be in the same family. It could be your mother had different symptoms than you do. Your sister has different symptoms. The women in your family experience menopause, perimenopause differently than you do, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is important that you get as much information as you can about perimenopause and just, work on that, go with that. Another thing that you may want to do, and these are just some tips here, is to have a journal if you can manage it, because I will tell you the mental fatigue that some of us experience is exhausting and it is almost debilitating to where you don't want to think about one more thing, you don't want to hear one more thing, you don't want to do one more thing. But do this for yourself. Okay? If your symptoms are so bad that you feel like you're going just crazy, do what you can. Get a journal. Use your phone to take voice notes if you have to. A sticky note next to your bed just to write down things so that you know these are the things that I'm experiencing. Let me see. Let me talk to my doctor. Let me talk to some of my female friends who are a little bit older and, just kind of have discussions about what they're going through as well. So you can understand that what you're going through is not abnormal. It's not, um, it may not be anything that you need to worry about physically to where, a doctor is going to be so involved. Take that out. Let me go back.
A few moments later.
Okay. Keep a journal. That's probably one of the most important things that you can do. If you have to even just take notes on your telephone, on your phone, do that. Do it for you, because so many people that I've talked to really don't know the impact that their hormone changes are having on their lives. And it gets to the point to where they feel like they are, in some kind of serious medical trouble. Okay. Like I said, I'm not a doctor and I'm not recommending to just take notes and go on with your day. No, do talk to your doctor about that, because these are very, very, very important things. And if you don't talk to your doctor, I pray that you have access to healthcare. But if you don't talk to your doctor, then it's going to be something that might weigh heavily on your mind and, further kind of take you down this really bad path um, with your mental health. So I would totally, totally, totally recommend talking to your doctor. Now, one thing that I have determined, at least for myself, I was personally hoping to be able to have some sort of hormonal therapy to take care of or help alleviate some of the symptoms that I have. Now, because of some health issues that I had when I was younger and continued health issues that I've had, my personal care physician, she right now is not very keen on putting me on any kind of hormonal therapy. So that means no synthetic estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone for me. It's just like, okay, write it out, see what happens. Quite frustrating, I will tell you that much. Now, I am going to be talking to my gynecologist about that, just to kind of get not necessarily a second opinion, but just to see what he thinks about whether or not I'm a good candidate for HRT or hormonal replacement therapy. I will say a lot of women who have been approved for it love it, and they feel so much more like themselves. It has helped them out with their mental health. It has helped them out with their physical stamina, their energy, their sex drive, all kinds of things. So if that is you, if maybe you're feeling like there are some changes with your libido, your weight management, your stamina, where you're able to, even just kind of make it through the day without feeling like, just bone tired, talk to your doctor. And I'm going to keep saying it, talk to your doctor. Even if you're not looking for HRT, got something that's concerning you, talk to your doctor. Please, 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 please. Now, this is just really a rant. I'm going to be doing more videos talking about perimenopause and actually having some information from experts for everyone who's here. But in the meantime, I do want to say thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening to my rant and my ramble. I love you, and please like and subscribe and share. Have a great day. Bye.
A few moments later.